brutal, freezing winters of the Viking Age, battles were not won by individual heroes running wildly into the chaos. They were won by a singular, unbreakable formation: the shield wall. Imagine standing in that mud. The enemy line is 50 yards away. They are screaming. They are beating their axes against their wooden shields, trying to manufacture an overwhelming wall of noise. Their entire goal is psychological. They want to intimidate you. They want you to feel panic, to scream back, and most importantly, they want you to lose your temper and break formation. The untrained warriors in the back are shaking, shouting back at the enemy to hide their fear. But the veterans, the men standing at the very front, do something entirely different. They don't scream. They don't boast. They stand shoulder to shoulder, lock their shields, and stare through the freezing rain in dead, absolute silence. One small shift in your discipline lasts an eternity, and one small reframing of how you handle the noise in your own life can cascade into massive respect later down the line. The core of strategic silence is the very definition of holding your ground. However, in the modern world, people often view quiet men as weak or passive. We live in a society that rewards the loudest person in the room, a world where you are expected to immediately defend your pride, shout your opinions, and react to every little piece of disrespect thrown your way. But the original idea behind holding your tongue was much more than that. Rather than just a way to describe someone who doesn't have anything to say, strategic silence was a tactical advantage. It was the psychological weight that broke the enemy's spirit before the axes even clashed. And that way of life has lasted for centuries. This philosophy can be applied to your life today the exact same way it was applied in the freezing mud 1,000 years ago, and its benefits are just as impactful. Navigating modern conflicts is, well, it's exhausting. First, someone makes a subtle joke at your expense in front of a group, just waiting to see if you flinch. Or a friend flakes on you at the last minute, completely disrespecting your time. Or someone close to you picks an irrational argument out of nowhere, just to see if they can break your focus. Everything is designed to test your emotional baseline. However, once you allow their noise to dictate your reactions, the power shifts. I remember a time when I would let every minor challenge pull me out of my frame. If someone questioned my character or made a slick comment, my immediate instinct was to react. I would get defensive, I would raise my voice, and I would over-explain myself to prove I was right. Without realizing it, I was breaking my own shield wall. I was stepping out into the chaos and letting them control the battle. It took me years to realize that when people provoke you, they aren't actually looking for an answer. They are looking for an emotional reaction. They are dealing with their own internal chaos, their own insecurities, and they want to drag you into it so they don't have to feel it alone. In modern psychology, this is often referred to as a reaction loop. People throw out bait, an insult, a passive-aggressive text, a sudden shift in mood, and they wait for you to bite. The moment you get angry, the moment you start defending yourself, you validate their behavior. You hand them the remote control to your nervous system. So, how do you break the loop? You do exactly what the veterans in the freezing mud did. You hold the line, and you give them absolutely nothing. There is a highly effective communication tool known as the tactical pause. Hostage negotiators and top-tier executives use it constantly. When someone throws disrespect your way, your brain's natural fight or flight response will scream at you to speak. You will feel a physical pressure in your chest. Your heart rate will spike. Ignore it. Close your mouth. Look them directly in the eyes and let the silence stretch. 1 second, 2 seconds, 3 seconds. Human beings are biologically wired to hate awkward silence. It makes us incredibly uncomfortable. We feel a desperate urge to fill the void. When someone insults you and you simply look at them without changing your facial expression, the psychological pressure immediately rebounds right back onto them. Because you didn't give them a reaction to feed off of, they are suddenly left standing alone in the quiet, completely exposed. They hear how ridiculous their own words sound echoing in the silence. Almost every single time, they will start backpedaling. They will nervously laugh, or they will start over-explaining their own joke, or they will apologize. They will unravel themselves, and you won't have to lift a finger. The question is, do you have the discipline to endure that awkward silence? If you do, you stop being a participant in their drama, and you become a mirror. You reflect their insecurity right back at them. But to do this effectively, you have to let go of the ego. You have to stop caring about having the last word. Sometimes, we argue because we want the other person to admit we are right. We want the external validation. But Stoicism teaches us that placing your happiness or your pride in the hands of someone else's opinion is a guaranteed way to be miserable. In reality, we don't really get angry because people disrespect us. We get angry because unexpected disrespect happens to us. Rain is a natural thing. It waters the earth. But when that dark cloud catches you outside without an umbrella, it's never a good experience. So why don't we start crying once it starts to rain? It's because we've learned to expect rain. It's unavoidable. We can't control the weather. Although it sucks, the rain passes and the light returns. Stoicism teaches us that in the same way, we should expect human nature to be flawed. Expect that people will test you. Expect that people will project their insecurities onto you. When you expect it, it no longer feels like a personal attack. It just looks like the weather. Regardless of what it is we want, at the end of the day, we don't have any control over what comes out of someone else's mouth. But we do have all the control over how we react to it. That is the dichotomy of control, the most important principle in Stoic philosophy. In the words of the great Stoic philosopher Epictetus, the chief task in life is simply this: to identify and separate matters so that I can say clearly to myself which are externals, not under my control, and which have to do with the choices I actually control. We need to determine our value not from the respect others give us, but from the respect we give ourselves. Striving to be understood is a normal human trait, but breaking down and screaming when someone refuses to understand you is, from a Stoic point of view, completely useless. Think about a man who has been working hard on himself for 6 months. He goes to a social gathering and an acquaintance makes a snide comment about his life choices. The man immediately gets upset, argues for 20 minutes, and goes home feeling like his peace was ruined. He doesn't consider that the acquaintance might simply be miserable in his own relationship, drowning in debt, or just feeling deeply inadequate. He doesn't know the hidden reason, but he's still upset. If he simply placed his value on his own internal progress, kept his mouth shut, and let that comment hang in the awkward silence, he could have remained completely unbothered. With the right perspective, his peace wouldn't have been diminished. The true Stoic does not view their success based on winning petty arguments, but is comforted by the fact that they are in total control of their own mind. It's a process, much like everything else. We have to rewire the way we communicate. Out with the old, in with the new. We must practice conversational restraint. We must build our own shield wall. By the way, this channel is not for everyone. We don't do cheap motivation here. We build mental architecture. If your perspective shifted today and you are ready to master the hidden dynamics of your own mind, subscribe to Mental Parallax. Hold the line. I'll see you in the next one.